Hi there. It's me. It's Michael, the guy who's making this video. Um, yeah. I just just did a video a second ago. Not a second ago, but relative. Um, I made a video just now, but that one was more like a serious video because I shared a poem, and the poem was a heartfelt one. Um, so now I'm gonna make a second video, uh, and this video is gonna be a poem, which is the other side of me, or touches upon the other side of me, which is mischievous, you know, a bit of a prankster, a bit of a silly kind of character, right? Um, yeah. Yeah, what do you say about yourself? Too much if you're me. Uh, so, a little while back, I had a thought. Um, I've had a lot of thoughts, but I had a particular thought. And I was thinking to myself, I said, self. This is what I said. I said, self. You should revitalize Geoffrey Chaucer's famous Canterbury Tales. You know, for all you Chaucer fans out there, Chaucer heads, as they're playfully referred to by nobody. For all you Chaucer heads out there, you're gonna love this. Geoffrey Chaucer wrote the Canterbury Tales, a collection of 24 different narrative poems. Interwoven through an overarching story about pilgrims, 30 pilgrims traveling together on a pilgrimage, which is what pilgrims do. And as they travel, they tell each other stories. And so Chaucer wrote these different narrative tales, and he had an even bigger tale. And yeah, that's it. It's, Canterbury Tales. Read about it. Anyways, that was like in 14 or 1500, so a little while ago. And then Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, Longfellow, he made his own iteration of that, with Tales from a Wayside Inn. And all you Longfellow fans out there, you know this already. It's like, come on. I know all about Tales from a Wayside Inn. That's what you're saying if you're a Longfellow head. But for those of you that aren't. And I think that was a couple hundred years later. So, to my knowledge, it's been a couple hundred years since Longfellow did that. So I figured it's time for round 3, So the thought that I had was, why not do Canterbury Tales, but with animals, right? That hasn't been done yet. So, I'm working on it right now. It's a big old story, featuring 2 badgers, a badger named Wilhelm and Jacob. Badgers named Wilhelm and Jacob, who travel around the world, and they're chroniclers, so they gather stories, right? And that's kind of how I'm setting it up, is that these badgers go around, and each story that they gather from some different animal is going to be a narrative poem that I write. And that's a whole lot of talking, so let me just share one now, right? Why not? Yeah, okay. This tale is called The Flea's Tale. This is a tale told by a flea. And without further ado. Now, Randolph was a circus flea, but times had gotten tough. The audience cared not to see that same old circus stuff. The many toes of Randolph, which were trained to walk the wire, now had no eyeballs to enrich unless he tight-roped higher. So, being a resourceful flea, good Randolph pushed the standard, and trained to such a great degree that these demands were answered. Go Randolph, right? The audience came out in droves, and when handbills were supplied, the famous tightrope of the show was lifted twice as high. All waited for this final twist. Proceedings moved along. The clowns and unicyclists made all the creatures yawn. The dancers danced to no applause. Magicians had no volunteers. Nobody cared a lick because Randolph had not appeared. But then the word was passed around. The final act was nigh. Redoubled intrigue was aroused. Try that again. But then the word was passed around. The final act was nigh. Redoubled intrigue was aroused, since Randolph could well die. No, not Randolph. The circus was in darkness bathed, except for just one light, which on the form of Randolph trained, there at that breathless height. Beneath his little weird bug feet, the wire quailed and quivered, and restless in their two small seats, the watchers paled and shivered. A hooded specter hovered near the edge of Randolph's eye, and whispered with a baleful sneer, "It's time for you to die." It's probably death. The looming specter of death, right? Yeah, never good. But Randolph was a circus flea of no small character, and had a wife he couldn't leave. Oh, how he cherished her. "My Violet," he thought, "I will survive this thing." And so, with matchless grace and seamless skill, he gave the crowd a show. He capered on the quailing line, he frolicked as it quivered, and all the while in his mind, dear Violet considered. The viewers in their darkened hearts, however, wanted more, and ratings shot up through the charts. When Randolph hit the floor, they'd come to see a perishing, and got exactly that. When Randolph slipped while cherishing, subsiding with a splat. Ah. The evening garnered rave reviews, such that the circus paid most fleas more than they could refuse, to not give up the trade. Right? Another show was set again. The rope was hoisted high. But all of Randolph's closest friends demanded to know why. "The show goes on," the top flea said. "I'm sorry for your loss." And true to form, it went ahead, without an evening's pause. Just two nights hence. A jam-packed room, dim lit and filled with smoke, saw a difficult discourse resumed, regarding rage evoked. "Our brother Randolph," someone cried, "is 2 nights in the ground, yet already is cast aside, so profits can abound." The joint response was indiscreet. There could be heard a shout. They stamped their little weird bug feet and shuffled all about. Then someone cried, "Let's overthrow the circus and the boss." The few who managed to say no were in a closet tossed. Incensed as life, the mob prepared to disembark the scene. But then a heartsick widow dared to speak and intervene. "I miss my Randolph," cried his wife, her makeup smeared with tears. Fleas wear makeup. Bet you didn't know that. I miss my Randolph, cried his wife, her makeup smeared by tears. I'm furious and filled with strife toward these profiteers. But Randolph was a flea of peace, and wouldn't want his name used as a sword with which to wreak duress and hate and flame. The room was quiet and contrite, until a voice cried, See? Her sanity has taken flight, for their brutality. Redoubled stamping, stoked and fanned the flames of retribution. And soon the room was empty, and there was a revolution. Upended was the circus tent, the hierarchy beaten. The rebels, though, were not content with just a couple cretins. The movement joined with minds alike, in those crusades akin, to plot and plan for further strikes, which small changes would win. Once, Randolph was a circus flea, but now he was the face of certain fleas who disagreed with fleas who fleas disgraced. Think about that one. His picture was graffitied by the anarchists and rebels, immortalized in blood red dye, which through epochs would echo. The moral of this tale to glean is fallible are voices. Things happen which are unforeseen, 'cause flawed fleas make flawed choices. We're all human, and fleas are all fleas, right? Yeah, nobody's perfect. I'll say that again. The moral of this tale to glean is fallible are voices. Things happen which are unforeseen, 'cause flawed fleas make flawed choices. And if you'd like to figurehead some anarchistic purpose, then don't join with the cause. Instead, go sign up with the circus. All right, hey, that's about it. Short little 12-minute video. You know what? Hey. All right, that's about it for me. I'm Michael, and that's Poem.